Hey guys, so I know I focus a lot on this channel about physical releases of games and collectibles in general, but today we're going to do something a little bit different. With the next generation coming up, with the PS5 and Xbox Series X underway, I thought we'd hop back 2 generations to the PS3 and Xbox 360 and look at some digital only releases. So these games are digital games that either did not get North American releases or they just did not get physical releases at all. But today we're going to take a look at 5 of these games. There's a whole lot more that we could cover down the road if we wanted to, but let's go ahead and check out 5 games that are digital on the PS3 and Xbox 360. Alright, let's get started with Hardcorps Uprising. This game was developed by Arc System Works and published by Konami. The game was released on both the PS3 and the Xbox 360 in 2011. This is a run and gun style game, and while it doesn't bear the Contra name in the title, it is actually intended to be a prequel to the original Contra game on the NES. It is also a spin-off of Contra Hardcorps, which was released on the Sega Genesis. Hardcorps Uprising has 2 game modes. You have Arcade Mode and Rising Mode. In Rising Mode, you can collect points which you can use to upgrade or customize your weapons. This, in my opinion, is the more enjoyable mode, as Arcade Mode is much more difficult and eliminated an upgrade system. The gameplay is fast and intense, and the graphics are really well done here. The difficulty is on par with some of the more challenging games in the series, but you do have a health bar, so at least you don't have to deal with one-hit kills. This is really a fantastic game, and I can't recommend it enough if you are a fan of the Contra series. It is also backwards compatible on the Xbox, as it's playable on the 360, Xbox One, and the Series X. For PlayStation users, this is only available on the PS3. Hardcorps Uprising never got a physical release on any platform. Hopefully one day that'll change, but I seriously doubt it.
Aren't you supposed to go easy on girls?
Double Dragon Neon was developed by WayForward and published by Majesco Entertainment in 2012. This game was released on both the Xbox 360 and PS3. This is a side-scrolling beat-em-up where you take control of Billy or Jimmy and make your way from stage to stage to rescue Marion, who once again was captured by the Shadow Warrior gang. This game is really a lot of fun, as like with most beat-em-ups you can play 2-player co-op. The game has an 80s theme to it and is very fun and energetic soundtrack. I actually love the stage, as well as the character and enemy design, as I just generally love everything WayForward touches. As far as gameplay, they added a pretty cool technique to where you can evade it as enemies attack at the correct time, and it sets you up for an easy counter. There are also mixtapes that you can acquire along the way that will help to enhance your character's abilities. This game has a lot more character than any of the other games in this series, and doesn't take itself too seriously. My one complaint would be the frame rate, as it's pretty slow. Visually, it is pretty comparable to Streets of Rage 4, however, it is much slower. I still believe if you are a fan of beat-em-ups, then you probably will find this game enjoyable. The game is usually a staple of the Xbox Game Pass, and is part of the Xbox backwards compatibility list, so it can be played on the 360, Xbox One, and the Series X. As far as for PlayStation users, this is 100% playable on the PS3, however it's not on the PS4.
I'm your worst nightmare! Skullmageddon! How about you?
Gwangji is a vertical scrolling shooter that was developed by Cave and published by Atlas. The game was originally released in arcades back in 1999 and was brought to the Xbox Live Arcade in 2010. The game takes place during the Muromachi period in Japan, and unlike most shooters, Gwangji is pretty unique. As opposed to controlling a ship, you select between 1 to 3 characters, each of which carry their own spirit with them. And your character is not flying, they're actually running through the battlefield as the screen is scrolling. This means that you will need to navigate around objects like buildings, rooftops, or bridges. The obstructions do increase the difficulty because they can limit how much of the screen you can utilize. Your first time through a stage, you will often get stuck on objects until you learn the stage layout better. This also leads to some horizontal scrolling as well. Similar to a lot of cave shooters, you can perform a heavy attack by holding down the fire button, which utilizes your spirit power. However, this will make your character slow down and not be as mobile. The alternate is to rapidly press the fire button, as this will give your character much better mobility. Being that this is developed by Cave, then it really goes without saying that this is a great quality shooter and a lot of fun. However, also like most cave shooters, this game is very challenging, so be prepared. The game is not available on the PS3 as it was an Xbox exclusive release. There was actually a physical release of this game as part of the Cave Shooting Collection. However, that collection will run you between $500 to $1,000. And it's also a Japan exclusive, so you would need the Japanese 360 to play it anyways. At $9.99 digitally, I would highly recommend taking the cheaper option. Gwangji is also a part of the Xbox backward compatibility efforts, as you can play it on the 360, Xbox One, and Series X. You can also always emulate the arcade version, as it plays great on a modded arcade 1-up cabinet. Dungeons & Dragons Chronicles of Mastara was both developed and published by Capcom. This is a collection of two 1990s beat-em-up arcade ports based on the Dungeons & Dragons franchise. The two games were Dungeons & Dragons Tower of Doom, which was released in arcades in 1993, and Dungeons & Dragons Shadow of Mastara, which was released in arcades in 1996. Both these games are a lot of fun, and the diversity of characters, enemies, and bosses does a great job of setting the whole D&D theme. The games are a little more in depth than your average beat-em-up, as they have branching paths that you can take throughout the game. They also utilize the inventory wheel that allows you to swap out weapons or spells. This was pretty unique for a beat-em-up, and some may feel a bit clunky. However, it paved the way for more recent games like Dragon's Crown, which drew heavy inspiration from these arcade classics. Dungeons & Dragons Chronicles of Mastara is playable digitally on the PS3, but not on the PS4. It did get a physical release on the PS3 that was exclusive to Japan. There is no Xbox physical version, however it was available digitally and is playable on the 360, Xbox One, and Series X. There is also a physical version of these games on the Sega Saturn under the title Dungeons & Dragons Collection. This was a Japan exclusive and will run you in the mid-100s, as it's pretty pricey. It also only supports 2 players co-op, where the PS3 and 360 versions supported 4 players just like the arcade. Darkstalkers Resurrection was developed by Iron Galaxy Studios and published by Capcom. The game was released in 2013 on the PS3 and on the Xbox 360. It includes 2 fantastic 2D fighting games from the Darkstalkers series. The Darkstalkers series, in a nutshell, if you're not familiar with it, is a spin-off of the Street Fighter franchise, but with monsters. Which is why you've seen various Darkstalkers characters such as Morgan, Felicia, or Baby Bonnie Hood in crossover fighting games. Nevertheless, the 2 games included here are Night Warriors Darkstalkers Revenge and Darkstalkers 3. These are both fantastic games, and I could gush all day about the personality that these games bring with the character and set design, but I'm sure most of you are well aware. These are classic games in a sadly forgotten series by Capcom. You can acquire these games individually on either the PS1 or the Sega Saturn, and there is a physical version of this collection. However, it is a Japan exclusive for both the PS3 and the 360, and it goes by the title Vampire Resurrection and not Darkstalkers Resurrection. This game is available digitally on the North American PS3. It looks like it's playable on the PS4 with a PS Now subscription. It is also available digitally on the North American Xbox 360, however it does not appear to be part of the backwards compatibility plan, as it's not available on the Xbox One or Series X. I made this video because I know there are a lot of great digital-only titles out there, and we as gamers never know when some of these titles will randomly be removed from online stores, or that online stores just die altogether. These are all titles that are 2 generations old by now, and can easily be forgotten. There are plenty more titles just like these, so I'll possibly do another video down the road. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.
Mata 遊んであげるわ。